goes horribly wrong.
I'm gonna scare the hell out of you.
What they did to him.
I just had a nightmare, that's all.
You know I got a great remedy for nightmares. It's the same position as sleeping.
Like Jody didn't even know about you and Brad.
She's gonna know. She's gonna wish she never heard of him. We're gonna get her good.
Well, I've checked my watch. I'll have her there right at 10.
Thanks. I am gonna have a good time.
For sure.
My sister's a jerk, but if she really wants to get in this sorority, I'm gonna help her out.
Look, are you sure you want to have this party?
What's wrong with you tonight? Go hide out in your room if you can't stand the noise. My plan to make this party a little off-center. Hash brownies.
Nice outfit.
Do I know you?
I doubt it. I've gone to private schools all my life, and I'm rich as shit.
Oh, that's right. You're Francis. I thought I recognized those small tits.
I don't know much about heavy metal. I mean, I'm into Lionel Richie.
I sent Jamie out there a long time ago.
Give me the knife, Lily. You've been a bad girl, Lily. Will you apologize?
I'm sorry.
This is Don Franks from My Bloody Valentine, and you're listening to The Hysteria Continues.
And indeed you are. Welcome back to The Hysteria Continues, and episode 211. And this time it is, the big question is this the podcast of your dreams, or is it made of nightmares? We're not back to Elm Street. We are taking a left turn, up or down, we'll decide, with a Nathan pick, with Dreamaniac from 1986. So, Nathan, you excited to be covering this masterpiece of cinema?
Yes, I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm very excited since I believe you and Erik had never seen it before. So I can't wait.
Well, it is true. I've never seen it before. Erik, had you seen it before?
I had not seen this before. No, I was just saying to Nathan beforehand, I'm not really a David Toccoto completist. I know he has about 7 million films in his back catalogue. I think I've maybe seen a couple of them, but Dreamaniac was completely new to me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe for Patreon, I could pick one of his 1313 movies.
No, it's okay.
It'll be right up your alley, Erik. It's lots of young men with their shirts off walking around in their tighty whities. I imagine that's exactly the kind of thing you would like to watch 75 minutes of.
Yes, it sounds so enjoyable and really engrossing and terribly hot.
Okay. Well, I don't think we had Dreamaniac. I don't think Dreamaniac, surprisingly, given its budget and its the kudos, surely it'll be out on Criterion before the end of the year. But it never got a release in the UK. Probably not in Ireland either, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I have no recollection.
Oh, no wonder y'all haven't seen it.
Well, exactly. So I do have. There is a kitten running around making. She's doing something with the recycling. So if you hear some crunching noises, it isn't me. I promise. So, but anyway, apart from that, Nathan, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I believe they're going to call me back in next week, so I'll enjoy my last week of working from home.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, enjoyed that last week. And Joseph, how about you?
How about me? What?
How are you?
How are you?
Oh, well, I am well.
Well, I'm glad we waited. Glad we waited for that answer, but thank you. Erik, Erik, how about you?
I'm good. I'm also still working from home and apparently will be till August, according to the Irish government, yes.
Okay, well, excellent. Unfortunately, Erik had it plugged in the wrong hole. So
plugged in the wrong hole, indeed.
So now he should sound a little bit better than he did. So
I am having so many woes with my Skype / Discord / GarageBand setup on my Mac that it's just not funny. It's just not funny.
I think Erik was trying to recreate the podcast with the budget of Dreamaniac.
I was.
Hey.
Yes. Or I was
this movie probably had a big budget.
Yeah.
Well, so, okay, well, before we get on to what we can loosely term as the main feature, what have you been watching recently? So, Nathan, as it's your pick, do you want to tell us what you watched recently?
Sure. I will tell you guys what I've watched recently. I watched a Hulu movie called Delivered, which I would call Misery meets Inside. You know, Inside the Pregnant Woman movie. It's much less toned down, of course, but it's basically about this woman who meets this other woman at this kind of like, parenting class, and the woman claims she's pregnant, and then, of course, she ends up kidnapping her and wanting her baby. It's actually a good movie. I think Joe might like it. It's definitely feels like one of those from hell kind of movies. And I mean, it hits all the predictable notes, but to me, it did it in an entertaining way. So, you know, I enjoyed it. You guys heard of it?
No. Is it it's not as gruesome as Inside, I take it?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's more, I guess, as far as like that goes, I'd say it's more like Misery.
Okay. Is it who put it out?
Hulu.
Hulu. Okay, so Hulu original. So
part of their Into the Dark movies.
This
one's actually probably one of the better ones I've seen. Honestly,
says the person who chose Dreamaniac.
Well, I mean, Dreamaniac is a really good film, and we will get into like the intricacies of the plot later on.
Yes.
Intricacies.
Are there
It's
some?
like sidestepping a landmine right there.
Nathan, was there anything else you've watched?
I watched a movie called The Dare, and it's got a very original plot, honestly, because I've never seen anything like this before. It's where all these people get kidnapped and wake up in a room, tied up, and don't know why they're there.
Oh, that sounds original.
It never happens, right? God. That never happens. But, no, I mean, the movie started out decent, but by the time they figured out like why they were all in there, it was one of those really, is that it kind of moments. So mostly it's one of those movies where, although I think it was shot well, I didn't hate it, but I just felt like, I don't know, not enough thought went into the twist. I don't even know if I'd call it a twist, honestly.
Was it another Hulu original?
No, this one was just an independent production.
Okay, it's not one I've heard of. What about you guys? Nathan, Joseph, Eric?
No, never heard of it.
Never heard of this.
You guys just don't hear of any of my picks.
Ever.
Yes.
There is a reason, Nathan. There is a reason.
Yes.
But is there anything else you've
We're trying to avoid the coronavirus, Nathan.
The only other one I actually watched two more, but I think you're going to talk about one, Justin, so I'll wait on that one. But the only other one that I watched was The Decline on Netflix. It's where all these survivalists kind of go to this survivalist camp way up in the mountains. And the guy's kind of teaching them, like the guy who runs the camp, how to be, survivalists or whatever. And it was kind of a slow build in the beginning, but something major happens and the group kind of splits into what they think should be done as a result of it. And then everything just goes haywire and like people start killing people and it gets kind of crazy, but it was actually a really, really fun movie. I liked it.
Okay.
I would recommend it. The only bad thing for me about it is that it is dubbed, and some of the scenes I think would have been even more suspenseful if it wasn't dubbed. Because sometimes the dubbing kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
So it's not an American or a Canadian film.
Well, it is. It was French Canadian.
Oh, French Canadian.
They speak French in it, so they dubbed it.
Ah, okay. Do they do that kind of Eurotrash dubbing? So beloved of me and Eric.
No, see, if it was something that bad, I might have, loved it. But it probably wouldn't have fit this movie though, because it actually is a good movie. So.
What's it called again?
The Decline.
The Decline. Okay, I'll look out for that. So thank you. What about Joseph, Eric? Have you come across that one?
No, but this one time at survival camp, I stuck a pickaxe in my Lulu.
You still alive?
Just barely.
Is it still in there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that might explain your problems with Discord. Maybe the pickaxe is picking up, causing interference.
It could be.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's causing interference with Eric's jokes of the weeks.
Hey!
But it's been in there for quite a while, so maybe it is. Okay, well, thank you, Nathan. Anything else? I don't want a return of you-know-who.
Oh, yeah, the rhubarb lady. Because, she could come back out at any moment. But no. There's nothing else.
Okay, well, thank you. Joseph, how about you?
Honestly, I have no interest in any recently seen right now. I want to hear more about this pickaxe at Eric's hoo-ha.
I hear it's been optioned by Dimension Pictures.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, a biopic.
Yeah.
So, Okay, well,
Pickaxe up the hoo-ha.
I know it's got hit written all over it, isn't it?
It does.
Part 3.
Yes, I'd go see that.
It's so an expanded mini-series perhaps on Netflix.
Oh, good word.
Thank you. So, okay, well, thank you, Joseph. Eric, how about you?
I have not recently seen as such. I did guest on the most recent Made for TV Mayhem podcast. Did I get that right? Made for TV Mayhem.
Made for TV Mayhem, yeah.
That's it, which of course also has the beloved Nathan Johnson on it, Daniel Budnick, and of course Amanda Reyes. And we were talking about Shannon Doherty movies. We focused on 2 in particular, one of which was the remake of Satan's School for Girls from 2000. So if you want to hear what we thought about that, then download is that episode out yet, Nathan? Do you know?
I don't think it's out yet, but it should
shortly.
be soon.
And I'll just mention one other one that we didn't focus on really was a TV movie called Almost Dead from 1994, I think it was, which is a movie about Shannon Doherty, who is seeing visions of her dead mother haunting her as she goes around her daily life. And film has a very supernatural ambience about it up until the final 10 minutes, when a sort of rational explanation is kind of tagged onto the end that is incredibly ludicrous, and it's utterly brilliant. The film itself is so-so. I mean, it's decent enough for the first 80 minutes, but those last 10 minutes are a real joy to behold, and well worth sitting through the entire film to get to that point. It reaches Scooby-Doo levels of silliness, and I would highly recommend it. So, but that's all the recently seen I have for this week. Yep.
Okay.
Well, if Erik is going to shamelessly promote himself like the whore that he is, then I'm going to also mention that semi-recently I was on Short Bus Cinema discussing Miami Connection. So that's my recently seen. So if you want to listen to that, go. Although I really didn't get to talk as much about the film as I'd like. So in the future, possibly on our off-piste, I may pick Miami Connection. So I have more to say about it.
How did you manage not to talk about the film if it was the subject of the podcast?
Well, it was Short Bus Cinema, and their format's a little different than ours, and so Ricky was kind of leading the format, so I just kind of chimed in here and there. So that's how it usually goes.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Eric. So I've seen a couple of things I was going to discuss. One is, I don't know if this is what you're referring to, or you were possibly, Nathan, was The Lodge, which is a relatively new film, which I was really looking forward to.
I'm sorry.
But because I really like the directors, because it's I don't know if they're related, but it's 2 directors from Austria, I think, or one of them's from Austria. Goodnight Mommy, which I think was filmed in Austria or Germany, about 2 kind of creepy little boys, and it was kind of a creepy sort of tale, and it was kind of art housey, but done in a way that was actually quite engaging. So I had lots of high hopes for The Lodge because I'd read lots of good things about it. People were saying it was very scary. And I kind of knew it was going to be in the kind of along the lines of Hereditary, that type of feel, perhaps Midsummer, but more Hereditary style. So I kind of went into it with a good deal of kind of enthusiasm, really, thinking, well, especially as I enjoyed the director's first film, or the first film I'd seen. So it was a real shame, actually. I couldn't quite understand what they were going for. I mean, I love cheesy slash movies, and I love cheesy monster movies and all those kind of things. Whilst I do enjoy a good slow burn horror movie, but this kind of took the proverbial piss, really. It was just, it was so slow and meandering. But the worst thing about it, I thought personally, was it wasn't scary at all. And what it seemed to do was it was almost like they were deliberately going out of their way to avoid any horror tropes, really, or it's almost like going down the lane towards a horror trope or a horror moment, and then turning left before they got to it each point. So the whole setup, which basically is this widowed man takes I think he's a psychiatrist, but he takes this woman who had been the only survivor of a cult mass suicide murder sort of many years ago when she's a child, and he sends her off with his 2 children to a very, very remote snowy lodge as in the title, the eponymous lodge, while he goes and works and is going to join them on Christmas. And essentially, it's the kind of is this woman being haunted by the dead cult leader? Is she nuts? Are the children blaming her for their mother's death? It's kind of playing with that, and it's in itself, the actual idea behind it was quite intriguing and quite creepy, but it just didn't pay off for me. And it's one of those films that at almost 2 hours long, you just think there's only so many times I can sit and watch people sat on the sofa slack-jawed watching TV, and you're thinking, why do you need to keep this endless repetitive kind of scenes of people sitting around or wandering around with nothing, very little happening? So I had high hopes for it. I think I would say that the 1980s Bad Dreams did the whole thing a lot better, a lot more entertaining. So yeah, I was disappointed with this, and I know there are fans of this movie out there. And I think now I kind of know what I'm getting, that at one point in the future I might rewatch it and reevaluate it. But for me, it was a hard miss. But Nathan, I don't think you got... Did you watch it, or did you only...
I watched it.
You watched it. What did you think?
I mean, I would tend to agree with you. The whole movie I just felt very meh about, because I was like, again, like there's talent behind the scenes. I mean... again, it's another movie I think it's shot very well, and it's well acted, but I don't know, like it's like you said, there's just so much long and drawn out stuff, and I can't stick with it. I found myself wanting to pick up my phone and scroll through Facebook or something, and if that and I know Erik said this in the past, but if that happens for me, that means I really am checking out of the movie. Most of the time I'm pretty glued to the screen. So, but with this one, I just wasn't. And, I know that it's got a lot of fans, and I'm sure, I've heard a lot of people like loving it, I guess, on an artistic kind of level. But for me, I was just bored. So, I don't know what else to say. I just couldn't get into it.
Okay. Well, Joseph, I think I believe you watched some of it, didn't you? Or did you watch something?
To be fair to The Lodge, I only watched about 30 minutes of it, but I was so bored that I just checked out. And I didn't know it was from the same people who did Goodnight Mommy, and now I know why I was bored, because I found that movie to be so boring as well, and it was so predictable, and I couldn't stand it. So I think that would probably indicate why I didn't enjoy what I saw of The Lodge, and I have no interest in going back to it. So yeah, that's my tuppence on that film.
Okay, what about you, Erik? If you haven't seen it, I bet you're champing at the bit.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I really want to see it. The worst thing you can say about a film is that it's really, really boring, and all three of you have said that. So it's a unanimous, it's boring movie. So I'm going to steer clear of it for sure, especially at 2 hours. 2 hours of boringness. Maybe an 80-minute boring movie, I might give it a whirl, but not for 2 hours, no.
Okay. If you heard any interference in the background, unfortunately, it was Francis is just about to call one off, I think, in the dirt tray right next to where I'm recording. So anyway, oh no, it's just a wee. So don't worry, no panic stations just yet. So, well, another film that another art house horror film that I saw, which was unbelievably moving and believable, and it shook me to my very core, was 2020's Fantasy Island from Blumhouse, which it's not a art house movie by any stretch. If you could take the polar opposites of movies from Fantasy Island and The Lodge, you couldn't be further apart. Fantasy Island, I didn't know a great deal going into this, apart from Blumhouse is... How can we say this kindly? I think Blumhouse isn't known for consistency, I think, with its titles. It's for every Get Out and Happy Death Day, there's maybe half a dozen.
Sure they are.
What?
I said, sure they are. Ian.
Well, they're not. It's they've kind of they seem to greenlight lots of movies, which perhaps I don't know. I mean, I kind of enjoy most of the movies, and actually, Fantasy Island, I didn't really know much going into it, apart from I knew it had terrible reviews, had I think more or less bombed at the box office, and I'm old enough to remember Fantasy Island from the 70s. With Tattoo and Senor, the plane, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of knew Fantasy Island, the concept of it. So I was kind of intrigued to see what they did with it. I think originally, early on, I saw that it was going to be a slasher movie. I don't think it was ever meant to be, but I think it was. I'd read somewhere that they were doing a slasher movie version of Fantasy Island, which sounded great. But this isn't that. It is a very, 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 very silly, Scooby-Doo-esque, cartoonish fantasy, literally, horror movie. And I enjoyed it very much. I thought it was incredibly stupid, but actually very entertaining. A complete antidote to The Lodge. So it's, what you've got is a group of people going to this island, and they're given their fantasies, and their fantasies include things like, stuff where you go into complete fantasy things. Like a couple go to like a massive pool party and there's loads of people there, and then these drug lords turn up and start killing everyone. Another woman gets to go back and meet her person she said no to getting married to 5 years ago, and goes into this restaurant and he's there in New York. So it kind of goes down that route. So it's not unbelievable in any stretch, but then things start going wrong, and there's a few twists and turns throughout it. And it was just fun. It reminded me, even without the island setting, of the kind of the goofy charm or something of I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And I've said before, and always say, I can't abide snobbery, genre snobbery. So if you kind of want something that's really cheesy and stupid, with a decent budget and doesn't take itself too seriously, but is got some snappy, fun dialogue, then you could do worse than Fantasy Island 2020. So I'm curious, have any of you guys seen it?
Yeah, I mean, all the reviews I've read have said, steer clear, it's so terrible. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't have any interest. But after your review, I'm like, okay, I got to see this, so I'm going to watch it.
I mean, if it's entertaining, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's all I really look for in a film, is to be entertained. I don't care if it's a remake of a property anymore. If I'm entertained, I'm entertained.
Well,
it sounds to me sort of like that it's going to be like Escape Room or that type of thing, where it's kind of supernatural-ish.
Yeah. There's definitely a supernatural angle in it, and there's a bit that Nathan would love that made me laugh, where this a woman, her fantasy is bullying her ex, the woman who bullied her when they were kids. And there's a point where they end up together, and this woman has to pretend it wasn't a fantasy to to get this woman on this island and do these horrible things to her, and she pretends that she's on the island against her will, and her bully turns around and said, "Did they make you wear those clothes?" Which I thought Nathan would really like.
Oh, this sounds fun. I want to watch it.
Yeah. Well, I think if you kind of, let's face it, we're not the masters of cinema. We're not a highfalutin podcast. We do love our cheese, and sometimes you've got to call out some of the newer cheese is ripe enough to enjoy. And for me, I saw all the reviews, and I just thought, actually, there's a lot of genre snobbery going on there, because whoever made it was having fun with it. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch at all. There's lots of things wrong with it, but to get a 6-pack of beer and a tub of popcorn and plonk yourself in front on a Saturday night on pay-per-view, then and then some pizza, then go for it. So so sue me if you don't like it, or don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely watching this as soon as possible.
And you're going to come back and say you hated it.
You
can then sue me. Yes. So I think that was it. Actually, I did start watching, talking of Shannon Doherty, a Jason Priestley film called Cold Blooded, I think it was called, about him being playing a hitman who gets into it by mistake and then turns out to be very good at it. Well, I think it's kind of black comedy, but my old DVD, which I hadn't watched, I'd got and I hadn't watched it decided to crap out about half an hour, so I didn't get to finish it.
Oh,
I know, but it looked quite good. It's a very mid-90s looking sort of that type of thing, but kind of a black comedy. It was quite funny up to that point, but maybe catch up with that. But apart from that, no, nothing else. So, well, what else can we talk about before we get on to Dreamaniac? Well, I had to get toilet fixed this week. Yes.
What was wrong? The flush or the bowl, or what was the fault?
Well, there was a crack on the bowl, and we had to thing. But then also on last Tuesday, we went shopping, Anything else happened to you guys that we can talk about before
this morning I was like, had my breakfast, and then Graham was like, oh, there's a brioche there as well if you want that. And I was like, I thought I'd eaten all the brioche. So I was happy then when I discovered that there was actually one left over, and I ate the brioche.
Okay,
what's a brioche? Is it bread?
Bread, yeah.
Okay. Hey, Justin, have you ever had sweet tea?
I'm not sure. What's in sweet tea?
It's like iced tea.
It's basically like a tea that you brew, and then you put sugar in it, and then you put some more cold water in it and mix it up, and it's tea that's iced and sweet.
But there's no alcohol in it.
No.
Oh. What's the point of that?
That would be a Long Island iced tea.
Yeah.
What's the point of a drink with
What's
no
the
alcohol?
point of that?
I mean, do you drink anything without alcohol, Justin?
Yeah, of course I do, but not like a drink like that. Also, I'm not a fan of sweet drinks. I'm not a fan of, I'd like a dry white wine. I'd like a cheap, dry Chardonnay to throw over you, Nathan, for picking this film.
Gee, this explains so much about Justin Kurzweil.
What? I don't think sweet. Erik will back me up on this. It's not something that we drink over here, is it? This kind of sweet tea.
Sweet alcohol.
No, sweet tea.
Well, we drink iced tea, which you get in cans.
No, I'm talking about. You said you don't like anything sweet at all.
Well, I don't. No, I'm not a fan. I'm not a cakey person. I don't eat loads of cakes.
I do.
Yeah, I'd prefer a nice big packet of crisps or something. I prefer something salty in my mouth.
Oh,
there you have it.
There you have it.
I found a new like a new shampoo that I really like.
Tell us more.
Yeah, it's really given body to my hair now, and I'm really enjoying that. So, I mean, what kind of stuff do you guys use lately?
A nice apple flavored shampoo. Not that I eat it, but I just use it.
Flavored? What?
Yeah. Oh, guys, I've just noticed the time. I think we have to wrap up now.
Okay, yes, anyway, that was lovely talk about Dreamaniac. So next time on Hysteria Continues...
Yes, it's your pick, Justin.
It is. But I can't believe that Nathan hasn't interjected once.
What
No.
are you talking about?
We're finished the show.
We've run out.
I mean, you're joking because we're coming upon the best part of the show. Why would you want to miss that out?
Okay, right. Well, we can't put it off any longer. So
no.
Why would we?
You wouldn't.
Of course
you couldn't.
No, we couldn't. It's a power that's too strong to be held back. A cinematic force of nature.
In the sleep-stirring tradition of Phantasm and A Nightmare on Elm Street, Dreamaniac introduces Lily, a deadly leading lady who makes Freddy look like a bargain basement boogeyman. Okay. Adam is a heavy metal rocker and part-time Satanist. When Lily enters his dreams, he uses black magic to summon her into reality. Too late. Adam learns that Lily is a succubus, a demon seductress who makes love to men and murders them, though not necessarily in that order. When she crashes Adam's sister's sorority bash, the blood flows and the body count rises. But Adam, entranced by her powers, soon faces a tough decision. Will he break free to save his girlfriend and sister? Or will he experience the ultimate sensation of loving Lily? Dreamaniac. Wake up and die. Okay, so this movie is one of the ones that when I was young, the artwork is what spoke to me. It had a bald-headed woman busting through a wall with a big knife and a hand that had like Lee press-on nails on it. So, yeah, I mean, that was like crazy stuff. And then I got to watch the movie. So, I mean, it was even better because I got to see I'm sure all your guys' favorite character was Rosie in the movie. You know, the one that dies early on, the one that says like every sentence. Like Mondo, bad planning, Jody.
I like the one who's trying to get off of Brad all the time. What's her name?
Frances.
I like her.
She goes, that's when she says, do I know you? And then Frances is like, I doubt it. I've gone to private schools all my life, and I'm rich as shit.
Can I just point out that wasn't the Francis from the movie I was worried about doing shit in a litter tray?
Okay.
That was a cat.
I'm going to make sure, because that was a little interesting, Justin.
But it was a cat in a litter tray called Francis. It's a synchronicity, I think they call it.
Is that Francis not as nice as the Francis in this movie?
She's a bit of a madam.
Yeah.
Just like Francis in this movie, then.
Yeah, because, she tries to steal Jody's boyfriend. Well, actually, I mean, she kind of does. I mean, he ends up going off with her.
Yeah.
But then, Jody barfs on them, so that helps, kind of get their comeuppance. Aside from them dying, of course. I mean, that's probably comeuppance as well. But the movie, I think, it takes a little bit of time to finally get going. But once it does, there's a lot of kills. And she uses everything from knives to electricity to fireplace poker to kill these people. So I'm like, all right. Although I will say the ending makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. Because, and this is spoiler territory, but first the twist seems to be that Lily is just some escaped mental patient. And this guy shows up from the mental hospital, and he's like, "No, apologize to these two girls that you've disturbed." And they're standing there covered in blood, and he don't even say anything about that. But then it turns out it's a book being written, and then Lily's alive in, I guess, this version of the world because she ends up killing the guy who wrote the book. I don't know. I mean, it was a crazy, crazy ending, sort of like the ending to Nightmare on Elm Street. The ending is kind of crazy, and you're like, what happened? That's kind of like this ending. So there are parallels between Dreamaniac and Nightmare on Elm Street, aside from the whole dream thing. So, I mean, there's also that. I am interested to hear what you guys have to say. So let's start with someone who has not seen this movie. Erik.
Yeah, so as you say, this is the first time watch for me, and sorry, Nathan, but probably a last time watch as well. I mean, interesting you were saying there about the dream. It's very much like Nightmare on Elm Street with the dream thing, and I'm like, what dream thing? There is no dream thing in Dreamaniac. Is there? Did I miss something?
Well, I think the implication is that he's supposed to have summoned her through his dreams.
Yeah, but then apart from that tiny little bit of a dream thing at the start, and then all of a sudden, I had visions of Dreamaniac being a Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff, and I was kind of looking forward maybe to seeing it, but there's nothing Nightmare on Elm Street-ish about it at all. I mean, in fairness, Nathan, I thought it was watchable enough and it was fun in parts, but overall I found it to be maybe a little boring and meandering with lacking in energy. I mean, at the start I thought, okay, this is going to be quite entertaining, because when we're introduced to all those sorority girls with their 80s clothes and side ponytails and that girl who says like all the time and Mondo and that type of stuff, doing exaggerated Valley Girl accents. But what happens is it devolves for me into endless scenes of sort of bland looking 20-somethings going to bed for a shag, and you can see where David Dakotah's future was going to lie in parts of this movie. I did laugh at that early scene where Adam and his girlfriend are in bed, and in a normal Hollywood movie, the sheet that's draped over them would be covering their buttocks, but in this it covers their backs but not their arses, so you just see this bare arse going up and down, which I thought was kind of very, very silly. Lots of white Y fronts in there as well, obviously cleaned with Daz. I don't know if you get Daz in the States, do you? Washing powder?
I don't know what that is. No.
It's a washing powder, and it cleans whiter than white. I thought, for me, the highlight of the film was some of the dialogue, because I thought there were some interesting nuggets. Like, I don't have the context for this. I don't know why it was said, but something about a taco tattooed on your ass I have written down here. I thought I recognized those small tits. And you were mentioning the character who vomits on Frances when she's in bed, and Frances's retort is, "Ew, you fucking cunt," which I thought was absolutely hilarious because I love bold words. Another great line I liked, I think it's Frances says this as well. She says, "I don't know much about heavy metal. I'm into Lionel Richie," which is a line that Justin uses a lot of the time at parties, I think.
It's true.
Yeah. I smell like onions. That was another line I liked. What happened to my head? That's another interesting line. Yeah, and as you said, the sort of tagline for the movie is she fucks men and then she kills them, but not necessarily in that order. So, yeah, the dialogue was the highlight for me. I found that for much of the last half hour, I kind of tuned out of the movie. I just wasn't interested in the film, and what I liked about the earlier parts was kind of the Valley Girl banter and the rivalry between the two girls over the hunky Brad. But once all that fizzled out and the film became more about the succubus killing off the cast, then I just found it a bit tedious, to be honest, and it became a bit monotonous. And, to be honest, I couldn't really match the names to the faces of any characters apart from maybe Adam and Francis. I will admit to having my attention drawn back to the screen for that climactic showdown between Adam and the two girls who are wielding a power drill. I thought the gore effects in that sequence were really quite good. And I'm sure had the film ever got a UK and Ireland release on VHS, that scene would instantly have been cut from the movie because it is quite gruesome. I like the postscript for the film. It is ludicrous. I mean, you get two kind of twists at the end, which I thought were kind of fun. So for me, there were things I did like about Dreamaniac. I didn't find it a total dud. I mean, I was joking earlier, Nathan. It's not the worst film we've ever covered by any stretch. I just found it a bit bland for a lot of its running time, but I mean, there are some very good moments in there. And so, as I said, I did like all that sort of Valley Girl dialogue and stuff. I could have done without all the nudie frat boys and all that. I thought that sort of dragged the film down quite a lot. But no, overall, I'd say it was, for me, quite an average movie overall. Even at 75 minutes, I found it kind of dragged in places. But as I said, peppered with good moments.
Well, I mean, average is still a plus in my book.
There you go. There you go.
Justin.
Well, again, yes, it is a first-time watch for me. I must admit, I had always been, well, not always, but for a number of years, been a little bit intrigued by that. Was it our Wizard video?
Yes.
Yes, but the
so it had a wizard sleeve, didn't it?
He had a wizard sleeve, yes. The wizard sleeve showed that lady coming through, the bald lady, for no reason. Maybe Nathan, you can tell us why the killer was bald on the cover.
Well, I mean, I don't know for sure, but my suspicion is that Lily, that's her real look, but she had to have the glamorous permed 80s hair to lure in the guys.
Where did she get that perm, though, when she was in the asylum? Did they have a hairdresser there that did crimping?
Yeah, I think that back then, at asylums had much better, options than they
had
did
more
today.
Facilities, yeah.
Yeah, the hair, they got restaurants, all kinds of stuff.
I think if an asylum can have like a medieval torture dungeon, I think they can afford a hairstylist, like a salon or something.
That is true. That is true. But just
like Slaughter Hotel.
Yeah. Yes, just like Slaughter Hotel, of course, with the medieval, with the hatchets and the battle axes on the wall. So, yeah. But yes. Well, back to Dreamaniac. I mean, it was. I think I talked about on previous shows, I have kind of watched one or two of the David Koto's kind of other movies just out of sheer curiosity, the 1313 ones, just to see what they were like. And it kind of, a bit like Erik said, it feels like even this early back, and I think this was his first kind of non-porn movie, wasn't it? It just felt that he was doing just enough just to get the film in the can, but possibly there wasn't a great deal of passion behind the camera. I don't know. I mean, there's, as Erik said, I mean, I didn't hate this movie by any stretch. I found it quite entertaining, but it felt like there was a bit of a pattern, really, that there was. He's not. How can I say this kindly? But he doesn't feel like somebody like. Well, basically, he doesn't feel like a director with much passion. And to be fair, I mean, a lot of slasher movie makers weren't making slasher movies because they had a great love for the subgenre. But it felt a little bit flat. I enjoyed the dialogue, the bitchy dialogue, and the stuff was quite funny. And you kind of knew even from the very beginning, he was putting a stamp on it by having the the main character walking naked bare ass within the first 20 seconds of the movie. But I must say it had the most boring teenage party. I've never seen a teenage party on screen depicted quite in the same way. That I think it must have been because they didn't have all the cast there at the same time. Because you never saw, what teenage party have you ever been to where people just come and then just go off in different rooms and play charades? Or
that sounds like fun to me.
Well, they snort cocaine and play charades, and but they're all off in different rooms. And I think that's probably because the where it was filmed, they weren't all there at the same time. It's probably a budgetary thing. I thought it was interesting again, because of in a subgenre which is known for the majority of the time is for featuring female nudity. To have this much male nudity in it was it was a good thing. It was good to see. It's different. And I know that I think David Dakota kind of convinced the guy, and his name escapes me, the guy who started directing the 1313 films for, all those films, and he said he was directing them for women, sort of like horror films for women, which of course was really for gay men, wasn't it? But he's already doing that. With this, although I would not get into loads of background, but I think it was partly because most of the female cast said they'd do nudity and they wouldn't, but the men decided they didn't mind. So yeah, it's I enjoyed the twists. I thought, it is got that silliness. It just feels like it's holding back a little bit. It doesn't go far enough into kind of lunacy. It feels like there's not, I don't know, I can't put my finger on it. It just doesn't feel like there's much, I don't want to use passion because it's not really the right word, but it doesn't go far enough for me. It just feels like everyone's holding back a little bit, almost like they're making a porno, but with a horror movie porno without really much sex in it. So has that kind of feel like that commitment, perhaps? I don't know. So I liked it well enough. I thought, like Erik said, the beginning bits were the best with the bitchy dialogue was kind of funny, and the gore at the end was good. It just felt like the middle of the sandwich was a bit kind of lackluster. So I think there's more. Other Nathan-y type picks you've picked, Nathan, I've enjoyed more than this. I didn't hate it, but it just something lacking for me, if I'm honest.
Well, is there other Nathan-y picks that you liked less than this one?
Well,
Crazy Fat Ethel 2.
No.
Death
not
Nurse.
That one. No, not that one either.
Well,
I'm sorry, that's my opinion.
I've only got Nathan. I've only got an hour till I've got to be somewhere in an hour. So we better come back to that for a Patreon, perhaps.
Okay, then. All right, Joseph.
Okay, well, after what seems like the longest opening credits ever, though
didn't they?
Yes.
Went on forever.
Yes. Though I did like that catchy tune. We immediately get our first indication that this is a David Dakota movie by the appearance of a naked guy wandering around this neon lit hallway, and he's hanging dong like Thundergun. I mean, surprisingly, we do get some female nudity after the dude kind of wanders in to find this naked girl in this bathtub filled with blood. And I find that is kind of a sheer indication of where this film's sensibilities lie, as if that wasn't obvious in the absolutely hilarious sex scenes, which feature severe performance anxiety, to put it in a PC-friendly term. I mean, the entire film is just this god-awfully 1986 hodgepodge of kind of skewed sexuality, neon, huge hair, and a plot that's so asinine that I just decided to stop caring and just enjoy the scenery. And this house in which the majority of the film is set is so 1985 or 1986 that it absolutely hurts, and it kind of feels so nostalgically good at the same time. So on that note, I did like Dreamaniac, but I'm not sure I appreciated it as anything more than, I guess, tacky wallpaper. Nathan, I'm sorry. You kind of admire the audacity and the loudness, surrounding the characters, the set design and all that stuff. And believe me, like I said, this is pure mid '80s. That I admired the visuals more than I did the story or the, what little slasher movie stuff they had on display. So, the thing I find with David Dakota movies is, like, when I go into something that I'm not very familiar with, I'm like, the dude's already walking on thin ice, because most of the stuff I've seen of his I've not really enjoyed. There's been a few exceptions, but typically I don't have any confidence going in. I will say the dialogue here is very hilarious. I mean, I love what you mentioned, Nathan. I've gone to private schools all my life, and I'm rich as shit. I love the way she said her delivery, I think, sells that line. Like I said, the gaudy clothes, the character interactions in the beginning of the film. I love all that stuff, and I think it's fun. But, as the film went on, I didn't get any thrills. I didn't get any sense of dread from this at all. The good kind of dread that a film is supposed to elicit. So, I recommend this as a time capsule. And believe me, that stuff is always amazing to me as someone who is absolutely in love with the 1980s. But, for the more pure of slasher enthusiasts looking for the typical ingredients, I'd say look elsewhere. So it's a marginal recommendation at best.
Okay. Well, I have to say that I kind of expected your guys' opinion on this, but I'm glad that you've all seen it now. So next I'm going to pick another movie that y'all haven't seen. I just don't know what it is yet.
Oh.
How do you know we haven't seen it then?
We've seen them all.
Well, I'm going to have to keep asking. I'm going to ask if you've seen, have y'all seen The Day After Halloween?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll pick it later.
Did you want
I totally I'm on board with you guys in that. I also do prefer the first half, just because I don't know, all the characters, the way they interact with each other is just so over the top and ludicrous. And like Joe mentioned, I love the scene where Francis finally does get Brad in bed, and then he lasts 20 seconds. And
I think Justin mentioned that.
Oh, did Justin mention it? Okay, yeah. I was like, so I knew somebody mentioned that, but I'm like, yeah, she worked to get him into bed and steal him from Jody, and then it was kind of like, for that, I don't know, but no, otherwise, I think that this is just a fun movie.
Can I ask you something, Nathan?
Sure.
Just about my understanding of the plot. I say plot. With Adam, then he was like this part-time Satanist. I'm not quite sure how you be a part-time Satanist, but so are we thinking that he was driven mad by the succubus, who wasn't actually a succubus but was a very naughty girl?
From a mental asylum.
Yeah. So was he driven mad by that? Because he starts off being the hero, doesn't he? Like, oh, I've done something wrong, I need to protect these people. And by the end of it, he becomes the villain, and he starts enjoying seeing people be murdered, and then he becomes a villain, doesn't he? So it's quite a character arc. But is that right?
Yeah.
Or was he evil from the beginning, do you think?
I don't think he was evil from the beginning, but I think he saw all that stuff, and also he felt partly responsible because he thought he was the one that summoned her, and I think that he just kind of gave in to the bloodlust. Do you think the succubus turned out to be a mad woman, brought her own smoke machine with her from the asylum? Yeah, because she needed that for atmosphere.
Well, I was thinking it was very good.
I was going to mention, I'm so glad this succubus, has the forethought to make her, her appearance is so atmospheric.
It's like maybe she just lit a few joss sticks, I don't know, but it was very stage managed.
Yeah. I just didn't understand the guy at the end who was coming to pick her up, and I guess didn't think anything about seeing people drenched in blood.
Well, maybe it happened before.
Maybe so. It was just his reaction to it was funny. You apologize. I'm sorry.
Well, given David Duchovny's current status, I'm surprised he didn't make Dreamaniac, the prequel Dreamaniac 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or whatever.
I think this was before him and his many sequels. Because, original David Duchovny was Dreamaniac, Creepazoids, Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowl-O-Rama. Mm-hmm. And Nightmare Sisters.
What was that film called, Justin?
Yeah, Justin, what is it?
What's that film?
Nightmare Sisters.
Oh no!
What?
Do it, Justin. You gotta say the title.
Say the title, Justin.
Okay, Creepazoids.
Oh.
You got it right.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good one. Guys, I'm reading here that in the course of this podcast that we're recording, David Duchovny has shot and edited and released 4 movies already.
Wow, that's
just the 4.
Is that? Yeah, that's
pretty impressive.
Yeah, well, no, I'm surprised it's that few.
I was trying to be fair to the guy.
Movies.
Come on,
He has a lot of movies under his belt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and like Justin, I've seen some of the 1313 movies, and I'm sorry, but Dreamaniac is, beyond those for sure. I mean, I don't think those other movies really have much of a plot at all. And I know you're saying the plot in Dreamaniac's thin, but like those are like even thinner.
Which one stinks worse, cat shit or dog shit?
Probably dog.
I'd say dog as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what you're asking us, Nathan. You're asking us to pick between 1313 and Dreamaniac.
You haven't seen any of the 1313 movies.
I've seen bits and pieces of one.
Well, that's not enough. You gotta see the whole one to understand the plot.
Yeah,
I don't want to see 1313's whole. I don't want to see 1313's whole ever.
I have seen Puppet Master 3, and that was kind of good, which is a David Dakota movie. And
who did the first Puppet Master? Was it Charles Band?
No, I think it was the guy who did Tourist Trap, wasn't it? David Schmoller.
David Schmoller?
Yeah,
really?
I think so.
Yeah. I
have seen Creepazoids, which I remember thinking was okay. What did I think of Sorority Babes in the Slimeball Bowlerama?
Yeah, Creepazoids.
Y'all didn't like it because it was like late 80s, and that aesthetic for y'all just didn't ring well. And also there's comedy in it, and you're not a big fan of that, Eric.
Okay, no.
Eric's not a big fan of comedies, we know.
What? Say it again, Justin?
I said Eric's not a big fan of comedies, we know.
How rude. You'll be laughing on the other side of your face when you hear my wonderful joke.
Laughing?
Yes. Because it'll be so funny.
Mm-hmm.
Creepazoids is actually a lot of fun, Eric, if you go back and revisit that. That was actually a good...
I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah.
He did something, it had sort of a name like Crawlers or Lurkers or something like that. That was a lot of fun, and I can never remember the title. And I'd go look it up, but I don't feel like reading War and Peace to find out which title that is.
Yeah,
Nathan, do you remember?
He has 160 credited directorial credits on IMDb.
There's a movie called Crawlers. I don't know if he directed it, though.
I think it's
a late 80s one, but it's a lot of fun. It's just kind of one of those gooey kind of extra type films.
I think it was Lurkers, wasn't it? Because I remember seeing the poster for it.
It may have been that.
Let me have a look. Lurkers 1988. Oh no, that's Roberta Findlay, so it's not that one.
No. I don't know. I'll have to research it, but yeah. He's done a couple of decent movies, but I don't think Dreamaniac was one of them.
I like all of his I'd say 80s. I like all of David Dakota's 80s movies.
Do you like Bad Boys Dormitory?
I've not seen it.
Yeah, that's one of his late 80s ones according to IMDb.
Is that like a porn?
I don't know. I wonder, is it a sequel to Bad Girls Dormitory?
I like Bad Girls Dormitory.
So do I. It's very funny.
He was making porn, wasn't he, while he was making quite a lot of his late 80s stuff or mid to late 80s stuff. So I imagine that was probably porn.
Eric, would you like a Bad Bob's Dormitory movie?
Oh, hell yeah.
Bad. God.
So, well, Nathan, is anything else you want to tell us about Dreamaniac before we get on to the extensive background you've got for us?
Well, I do have some background for us.
Okay.
Oh, that was said with sass.
Minorly extensive.
Okay. Well, let's hear it then.
It was shot in 10 days. They originally was going to have female nudity, but the actresses said no, so the men were okay with it. And you already said that, so you robbed me of that one. Oh, and this movie was actually too gory to be at the theaters.
Is that the real reason, Nathan?
Well, that's what it says on the box. It says too gory for the silver screen.
Okay, well, that must be true then.
Well, why would Wizard Video lie?
They wouldn't.
Oh, and Kim McCamey, who is the final girl per se in this movie, she was also in Lunch Meat. She was in Evil Laugh, which we covered recently. And she went on to become an adult film star. And I think we said that in Evil Laugh as well. But you know what? Now we said it again.
I wonder which was filmed first, this or Evil Laugh, because they're both 86, weren't they? Or both released. They've got 86 dates.
This feels a little earlier to me than Evil Laugh, fashion-wise, almost.
Well, I think her hair was longer in Evil Laugh, so maybe Evil Laugh was filmed after. Maybe Evil Laugh saw Dreamaniac and was like, I'll hire her. Sort of like they did with Dana Kimmel with Sweet 16 for Friday the 13th Part 3.
Because they absolutely loved her performance.
I thought she was good in this movie. What'd you say, Justin?
I think she had more to do in Evil Laugh, really. More range.
Yeah, I mean, she did have to deal with her missing boyfriend for like 10 hours, whereas in Dreamaniac, her boyfriend's there in the house with her.
Yeah, she does. Well, we won't spoil exact. Well, she messily she handles a power drill well, doesn't she?
Yes, and did you know that there's not many slasher movies in the 80s that used a drill? I mean, obviously the Slumber Party Massacre movies did, but many, many others didn't use drills. And I'm like, I think it's actually kind of a scary weapon.
Well, I think isn't it partly because
Drip Blood used a drill in one scene.
Yeah.
Stage fright.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's partly because you couldn't really use it in the woods, could you? Unless you had a very long lead.
Yeah.
I got an extension cord. It's a couple miles long.
I'm sure you do, you dirty slut. Check out my extension cord, everyone.
Is it kind of long and white and quite thin?
It sure is. Unlike Eric's, which is one of those 3 prongs you plug into the wall directly.
Oh, how wrong thou art, my dear Mr. Henson.
Oh, Erik.
Wow, we've gone back to sounds like gone back to like Jane Eyre or something. Eric's come over all Georgian. So,
yes.
Okay. Is anything else, Nathan?
Yeah, the last little bit of trivia I have is that scientists have proven that you don't literally have to live on Elm Street to have a nightmare. And there you have it.
And what do scientists say about the effects of watching Dreamaniac?
They said that it's soothing, comforting, it'll relax you.
But also you don't have to watch Dreamaniac to have a nightmare because there isn't actually one in it, is there?
No.
Well, the other is, didn't Adam have a nightmare where Lily killed him in the beginning?
Yeah, it's the chick in the bathtub.
Oh, I guess so. Yes, that's true.
See, there was a dream in the movie.
Ah, okay. Right. Well,
I wish they would have given Lily Freddy Krueger type glove.
Unfortunately, my dreams are shattered after the movie.
Hey, Nathan, there was a dream, but there wasn't an Aniac in it. What's an Aniac?
See, I think this is the brilliance of this title, you guys.
What?
Dreamaniac. It combines the M, and it does that because it's blending maniacs and like dreams together, like in the movie.
Wow.
Like she came from a dream and she is a maniac, but Dreamaniac is like her title. She is Lily, the Dreamaniac succubus.
Wow, you blow my mind.
Actually, she's not a succubus. She's an escaped mental patient. But still, she thought she was a succubus. I mean, she believed it. And, you know, the power of the mind, it's very powerful.
She did take it quite literally, didn't she, when she, with Brad?
Oh, yeah, she did, didn't she?
What, she sucked his buzz?
Well, she does the first part of the succubus, and then she bit it off, didn't she?
Yeah, he died.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah, maybe from blood loss, you know?
Wasn't
I wonder if he had a short bus.
Wasn't Lorena Bobbitt around at this time? Was that?
Yeah. 90s, okay. Yeah. It's 90s.
Okay.
So this movie predated that. Hey,
trendsetter.
Credit where credit is due, am I right?
Yeah.
Indeed.
She was obviously influenced by the evil voices in her head caused by watching Dreamaniac. That movie should be banned.
Oh, that's
specious
it's
reasoning.
Not a video nasty.
So, Nathan, do you have any more background for us?
No, that was the last bit of background I have, but that was some extensive stuff.
It certainly was. It was some stuff. Okay. So, well, Erik, what about you?
No.
Okay. But Joseph, I know you've got quite a fistful of stuff, haven't you, for us?
Yeah, actually, I do. Like Nathan says, it was apparently shot in 10 days on a budget of $60K. Charles Band found Charles Band found out about the production and called director David Dakota to buy the film. After the first screening, someone from Charles Band's office called Dakota and blatantly asked him, "Are you gay?" That's apparently happened. Charles Band was an executive producer, although he was uncredited on the film, and he was thanked in the end credits. Speaking of Band, he was the founder of VHS giant Media Home Entertainment, who released a lot of great stuff, and he also created Wizard Video around 1981. And so Dreamaniac was a number 90 out of their 94 film catalog of releases. And it was also the second to last to get the big box treatment, Nathan. So it does hold a special place in the Wizard Video catalog, at least. Yeah,
that's cool.
The Wizard Video release has a Wizard Video Total Terror test promo at the end of the tape, which features clips from Breeders, Dreamaniac, and Headless Eyes. And the Japanese release is the exact same thing, except it has previews for Zombiethon and Robot Holocaust at the beginning instead. That's pretty much all I could find on the film, though.
But you did bring up something very important, the terror test. So you guys, we have to watch Headless Eyes, Dreamaniac, and Breeders and take the terror test to see if we can handle the terror.
Oh, it's scary.
Can we say we can't handle it? Well, I imagine Erik can handle it, but I'm not sure about the terror test.
Breeders possibly, Headless Eyes. I'll be washing my hair that day.
Headless Eyes has a great ending, though. I won't spoil it.
It does have a great ending. I'll give it that.
Well, maybe you could save that for a Patreon pick, Nathan.
Well, I think Headless Eyes is a slasher, so I think we could actually do slasher.
It is. It's a proto
because he
slasher.
kills people and takes their eyeballs.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's called Headless Eyes, because they find the eyes on the ground and there's no head around.
Ah.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
I'm full of info.
You're full of something, Nathan. I'll give you that.
Just.
So, I guess it's my extensive background is that the only thing that hasn't been covered, I think I read somewhere that it was shot on 16mm and blown up, and so it wasn't shot on video, even though it may have been promoted as such. What are your thoughts, Nathan? Does it look shot? It doesn't look shot on video, does it?
No, it doesn't look shot on video to me. I mean, I feel like it's film. It's just very low budget film.
This film always gets attributed as a SOV film, but it is not. It was shot on 16mm, Justin, and I think they were going to blow it up to 35 or whatever for a cinema release, but it never got that cinema release. So, yeah.
Well, yeah, because it was too gory.
It's not video at all.
If only it'd been blown up, but sadly it got released on video instead.
The original negative, yeah.
Yeah. What did y'all think was the scariest scene in the movie? Oh, I guess you.
Yeah.
Having a hard time there because I
shoulder pads.
Yeah. Well.
I like the guy's bedroom with all the posters on the wall. It's just so 1986. Just the pinups from thrash magazines and horror magazines. It's just so gaudy.
And it was only his, because I looked at some of the cast, because we haven't gone into the cast, but most of them didn't do, apart from some people we've spoken about. But I think some of them had some other things. But the main guy who played Adam, this was his one shot of fame, wasn't it?
What a great shot it was, though.
Well,
I would love it. If I played the lead in Dreamaniac, I'd be telling everybody about it. I'd be like, can I get to go to some cons? I'll sign some autographs from my movie Dreamaniac.
I'd love it if you get a great shot too.
So, okay. Well, thank you, Nathan, for Dreamaniac, because
you're welcome.
I think the kindest thing. Well, then I think it's fair to say we wouldn't have watched it without you. What?
My murder joke didn't land with anyone. I just threatened Nathan's life.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about a shot with a needle.
I thought you meant a vodka
about
shot.
A gun.
Oh, you're talking about killing me. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't laugh about you killing me.
This movie. God damn it. Arr. Okay, go ahead.
Oh. I thought somebody fell over there. Yeah.
I wish they had made sequels. It could have been like Nightmare on Elm Street, Dreamaniac 2, 3, 4, 5,
Well, at the end of each one, the same attendant would turn up and say, "I'm really sorry, they just murdered all your friends."
That would be the ending to every one. The attendant shows up and is like, "Oh, she's done it again."
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Lily. Can you imagine, Lisa, sweetheart? There's a Francis on the phone.
So, okay, well,
and she's rich as shit.
Yeah. Now, Joseph, we through HR is on the phone because a certain someone forgot to put this out to the vote.
Hey, come on! It was my birthday week. I had several people celebrating at different points in time. I was also working. I was editing our shows. I simply forgot to do the social feedback for this, so I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what our audience thinks of this film.
But we have a good idea. So
yes, we do have a good. Although for Justin's next pick, we will have that back.
Exactly, and my next pick might, if you don't already know what it is, might shock you. So, talking of shocking things.
It's my joke of the week. It's so fantastic.
Okay, so I have a herd of wild ox, and the leader of the herd is so easy to deal with. He's a dreamaniac. Dreamaniac.
Is that the evil laugh?
That was one of the. You may have heard the first one on our Patreon pick, but this month's. But listener Billy Verdine sent in 3 evil laughs for us, which we didn't actually use on the pick. So I'm using them in a, how can I say, postmodern way with Eric's joke of the week.
No, at least I got a laugh, unlike Joseph's threats.
My joke was so much better than yours.
It was not.
Eric.
How dare you?
Oh my God.
Your joke was just saying, all you said is, I want to kill Nathan. That's all you wanted to say.
Oh, I thought you meant my other joke. The one I told
to kill me.
What other one?
I thought the one I told in Facebook Messenger about Dreamaniac.
Oh, remind us of it again.
It was.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I really do love our listeners, so I'm sorry, but I'm going to do it anyway. Apparently, the actress who played Adriana on The Sopranos auditioned for this movie, but she was fired because she kept getting into physical altercations with the other actors. Yes, Drea May Nee Ack tours in the growing.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it was better on Facebook Messenger.
Dre May Nee Ack tours in the growing.
Oh, I implore you to stop.
Oh, it's so good though, Eric. It's so layered.
I see tumbleweed.
Because she really did audition for this film.
Yeah, right.
I can see the same tumbleweed, Nathan.
Yeah. Although, Eric, she was on a spinoff of one of your favorite shows.
90210.
No, she was on Joey.
Oh, I never watched Joey.
Yeah, me neither.
Okay. Right. Well, let's move on. We won't. Let's draw a discreet veil over that, shall we? I think we won't torture you with mine and Nathan's joke, will we? So
I don't even remember what mine was. It was something funny though.
Probably for the best.
I know that.
But feedback, guys. Nathan, do you have some feedback for us?
I've got some feedback for y'all. It says, "Hi guys, I hope you're okay during these dystopian times. I browsed the IMDb the other day and discovered Can't Fear, a rare slasher movie from 1991 that I haven't heard of before. Among the cast, you'll find well-known genre names like Vincent Van Patten, Betsy Russell, and Michelle Bauer. Have you seen the flick? I would love to hear your expert opinion. Take care, and don't be too hard on Rob Zombie. Peter Walston."
Thank you, Peter.
I've seen Camp Fear. I think it was back when I thought it was a sequel to Cheerleader Camp. And I remember thinking it was okay, but honestly, I don't remember a thing about it. Nothing. What about you guys?
I don't think it actually was a slasher film. It's actually kind of not really, I guess, mysterious anymore. I mean, it was kind of about 10 years ago, it was released on some sort of format, and it got its name out there. But I don't remember it actually being a slasher at all. I could be wrong.
I kind of vaguely, I watched it a couple of years ago, and I just seem to remember Vincent Van Patten and a few people running around woods, and that's about as much as I can remember. Wasn't there stuff about druids as well?
Yeah, something about druids and like a cult or something like that. It's been so long since I've seen it, but
Well, I'm sure we'll get to it one day.
Possibly.
What about you, Eric? Have you sound very quiet?
No. Haven't seen it.
No. Okay. Right. And we promise not to be mean to Rob Zombie ever again until Halloween time. So
Halloween 2 is on the horizon.
It is coming up quick. Well, thank you. Eric, how about you?
Yes. Greetings, Podfathers. Jay here. Just got through listening to Patreon exclusive number 53. Are we up to number 53 on Patreon?
I think we are. Do you know
something like that?
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say with our Patreon,
50, yeah.
Patreon, we put out each month. It's probably about 2 hours of extra content, don't we, on Patreon?
Yes.
So if you're not already a Patreon supporter, then and you've been seduced by the quality entertainment you've heard here tonight, then you know where to get more of it.
You get more of my jokes of the week as
Yes,
well. You get
indeed.
exclusive jokes of the week. Yeah.
Suckers.
Anyway, Jay says, just got through listening to Patreon exclusive number 53, the top 3 from 1986, and what a fun listen. Some thoughts. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Joseph, I actually would have picked this for my number 1. I know it's not a popcorn movie, which I love. I mean, I bought that double movie Blu-ray for TerrorVision, not the Video Dead, Erik. Hey, I like the Video Dead, but I am just absolutely fascinated by the acting every time I watch this movie. Also, Tom Towles as Otis is super hot. The character's very creepy, but the actor is still hot. Regarding your number 2s, ever since I started listening all those years ago, I have always enjoyed the cat flushing the toilet. Having said that, ever since I started listening all those years ago, I really appreciate the abridged version you used for this episode. I think somebody was getting a bit sick of the cat flushing the toilet, is what he's saying.
I hate that cat. I'm sorry, I do. I've grown so tired of that cat that I pretty much have just edited it down to a toilet.
He's a cat.
Oh, I love that song.
I love that song too. What's not to love?
I like the song.
He's a
I'm just
cat.
tired of it.
A quick aside, I finally got a copy of The House with the Laughing Windows with English subtitles. I haven't watched it yet, but I popped it into the player to see if it worked, and up popped this trailer for a movie called Amsterdammed. WTF. Have any of you seen this insane, bombastic, ridiculously fabulous looking film? Where can I find this piece of cinematic art? I'm truly looking forward to your comments on the Blob remake, as it's one of my faves. That's really going to be fun. Until then, it's y'all's turn. From your humble fan, Jay Bullington, producer and co-host of Have You Seen This One, aka Histo, Hysto, and you can catch them on haveyouseenthis1.com. Amsterdammed, guys, I saw that back in the late 80s, but I've no real recollections of it. I mean, Jay says here that it looks pretty insane from the trailer.
Yes. It's, Erik, if you like, and I know you do, Fatal Frames, you'll like Amsterdam, because it's like 2 hours long. It's really long, but it's so gloriously trashy and silly that it's just a lot of fun. I mean, it's got a scuba diving killer who just basically pops out of the water and kills people in the canals. It's just so much fun. At 2 hours, I was never bored. It's
awesome. I must revisit.
Yeah, it's a lot of trashy kind of fun. Just one of the trash.
Is it Dutch as well, isn't it?
Dutch. Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Vic Mass.
Oh, Erik. Yes, I saw it a long time ago, and it has a great scene with a body falling out on one of those tour boats that go down the canal or whatever. And the scuba diving killer. It's kind of like an expanded version of the one in Fatal Games, perhaps. It's that great scene where the killer's under the water when in scuba gear.
Oh yes, throws javelin. Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, thank you, Jay. Yes. So what about you, Nathan? Have you seen Amsterdammed?
I don't think I've seen it.
I think you'd like it.
Oh, Nathan.
It's from the director of The Lift, if you've ever seen The Lift.
Oh, that elevator movie. Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's 2 hours, but I still think you would enjoy this one.
Okay.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you, Jay.
Did y'all know that they put Suffer Little Children on Amazon Prime, so I'm finally going to get to watch this movie?
Oh, cool. Suffer, 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 little children.
Okay. Well, Joseph, do you have anything for us?
I do not.
Okay. Well, I do. I have one here, and it's quite a long one. So let me get started. Are you sitting comfortably?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, Erik said he's sitting comfortably. I'm like, how? Because he said he had a pickaxe in his hoo-ha.
You get used to it, Nathan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
that was a brilliant callback, by the way.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Well, even if you're not sitting comfortably, I shall begin. It says, hello again, guys. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. This time, I have another question for you. What mainstream non-slasher movies do you think could be improved if they were remade as a slasher? Here's some ideas to get you started. When Harry Murdered Sally, Eat, Pray, Love, Disembowel, Beverly Hills Killer, Good Will Hunting Teenagers, Slaying Private Ryan, 3 Men and a Baby on a Meat Hook, Pretty Woman on a Meat Hook, Forrest Gump on a Meat Hook, Who Slaughtered Roger Rabbit, Don't Go in the Home Alone. On another note, I recently watched the Hidden Gem. Oh, actually, before we get to the on another note, it's kind of like, in some ways, it's almost like those kind of porn parodies, because we were talking about the Texas Dildo Massacre, which I'd heard about, and I looked up and apparently is a real, all the porn, sort of porn spoofs out there. And I think it's got Ron Jeremy in it, so that's one for you, Erik.
Hey. He's got a big willy.
I haven't seen him in anything, but I imagine he would be up your alley if you gave him half a chance.
I don't think he'd fit.
Well, I don't know if a pickaxe can. So what do you guys think? What would be what kind of mainstream movie would you think would benefit from having a slasher element?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom Asylum.
Very good.
Didn't we do a top 3 on this subject at one point? Because I think Johnny Krug was on the episode when we did it.
We may well
remember.
I remember. Erik also mentioned that he wished that Forrest Gump would have had a slasher killer in the film.
I hate that film.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head except I do remember in that episode I mentioned Rock of Ages, which I hated so much. I wished it had a slasher movie killer in it, but I can't think of a witty title to give it right now.
What about you, Nathan?
I'm not good at coming up with that kind of thing on the spot, but I think that it would have been interesting if they had a slasher on that movie Titanic.
Or just make it even worse for people.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned in that episode as well.
Well, it would be
See, we're repeating ourselves. We never repeat ourselves.
Never.
Oh, no.
It's always
Never.
fresh content on the Hysteria Continues.
Allendale.
The last 10 years.
He's HR, or Allendale's HR.
Indeed. Well, there's many movies out there. I think this is, if we have to listen back to see if we've done it. If not, we will revisit it. But I shall continue. On another note, I recently watched the hidden gem of a slasher, Mirage, from 1990, which I thought was great and would make a great double bill with Blood Frenzy. And by coincidence, you also you mentioned on Don't Answer the Phone episode, I just recently caught up on. I read Justin's review on the Hysteria Lives. Would love to hear what the rest of you think of it on an upcoming episode. So, Mirage, my old friend Jake Helgren, who's now a director of very entertaining movies, a lot of kind of slashery type movies, did Bloody Homecoming, and the other one gets, but he's done quite a lot of fun sort of Lifetime style thriller movies, slash elements, and all sorts of different movies. But he sent me a copy of Mirage probably 15, maybe more or maybe less years ago, a UK VHS, which was very rare at the time. And I don't think it ever got a release in the United States at that point. So, but it's it's a fun desert slasher movie, which it'd be fun to cover at some point on the podcast. What about you guys? Have you ever seen Mirage?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
very fun movie, and it's also one I had a PAL tape, and at the time I had no way of watching it except to get the tape converted. So I had to get the tape converted to actually watch it, but. Yeah, it's criminally underseen. Also has a very, very early performance from Kenny Johnson from The Shield and the Bates Motel show that was recently on A&E. So, good little thriller in the desert. A lot of fun.
I can't really remember a huge amount about it apart from that opening sequence where he has a brick on the accelerator of his truck as he's shagging his girlfriend in the back of the truck.
Yeah, and
it's accelerating through the desert.
Yeah, that's an ingenious way to thrill seek and thrill sex, I guess. I don't know.
What about you, Nathan? Do you remember it?
Yeah, I liked Mirage a lot, actually. I thought it was a lot better than I expected it to be. It's actually surprising to me that it's so unknown, and it was so rare. I remember when Joseph and I were trying to find it. It took forever to find that movie.
Well, there's one for if you're listening and you're kind of... got any influence with a Blu-ray company, then that's a hidden gem to get out. So, but just to finish us off, this is from Simon Logan. Yes, that's Simon Logan. It says, looking forward to future episodes as always, and who knows, maybe someday soon, Erik will make a joke of the week which isn't simply a pun on a character or an actor's name.
Oh, shut up.
So, And he says, and it's P.S. Simon Logan. He said, if you read this one out on the show, please don't give it to Erik this time. He butchered my last piece on feedback worse than Jason would a camp counselor.
What did I do in the last one?
Now I want to hear this again.
Yeah.
But then he says, P.P.S. Erik is a sexy love machine.
Thank you, Simon Logan.
It's all forgiven now.
Erik must have had something in his mouth or something at the time when he stumbled over his line last time. So
I should really read the feedbacks before we start recording, and it'll give me a heads up. But I keep forgetting.
Well, Dreamaniac. So that was an episode.
Yep, it was.
Well, I think it's only fair for next time. Just to announce what we're doing next time. As we've gone Dreamaniac, we've gone low budget, trashy, mid 80s slasher movie. I think we should probably go something a little bit more highbrow and a little bit more something that'll test our boundaries. So I am going to try and out Nathan with a 1980s terror on tour. So if you ever wanted to see talking of copyright infringement, a Kiss style band and a lot of murders at gigs, then this is the movie for you from the same team. It wasn't the same team who did what's it called? Home Sweet Home.
And To All a Good Night.
Yes.
It's all part of that same production company.
Yes.
Sandy
and
Cove.
we're hoping to be joined by Supporting Characters podcast host Bill Ackerman, who has been on the show before, and is always a treat to talk to him. So he has been looking into the movie, so he's going to bring a different perspective to it. So yeah, it's going to be another one to, well, hopefully a fun one to cover. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I don't think it's the classiest of slasher movies, put it that way. But it should be a fun one to have a chat about. So get your Kiss makeup on and join us next time on the Hysteria Continues. But what are we playing out with, Nathan?
We're going to play out with She's a Maniac. Is that the name of the song, Joseph?
Maniac by Michael Cimbello.
Okay.
Did we play out with that on the Maniac episode?
But isn't it just as relevant now?
Well, what are we going to play out with when we do Freeway Maniac?
Or Invisible Maniac.
Yes.
I want to do, for Freeway Maniac. No, I think for Freeway Maniac, I want to do the riding on a freeway, love in a pink Cadillac.
Yes. Is that one you're going to pick Freeway Maniac, are you, at some point, Nathan?
Well, at some point, but there's still more I want to pick before it. Like Have a Nice Weekend. We still haven't covered that one on my list, too.
That. You can't pick Have a Nice Weekend. Surely not.
Oh, I don't get your review, Justin, because I liked this movie. I thought it was good.
It's the only slash movie where they spend 10 minutes making a sandwich.
Well, but it's all part of the slow burn.
It burns all right. Worse than gonorrhea.
It never ignited in the first place, Nathan. But it'd probably be a fun one to talk about.
At some point, I will be choosing it.
Okay. We have been warned, and we are doomed on the Hysteria Continues. So playing out with that, and we will catch you next time. So thank you for listening to the Hysteria Continues. So say goodbye to the good people. Till next time. Goodbye.
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 She's a maniac.